Different.
Oh, yes, it's Monday.
It's like Little and Large, wasn't it?
Little and Large. It's yes, well, we could all say that, couldn't we? It's Monday. It's 3 o'clock. Welcome to the creative and cheerful anarchy that is Together Unlocked. Brought to you as always by Together 2012. We're based in the East London borough of Newham, which was the main London 2012 host borough. We're creating a cultural Paralympic legacy, and we run all sorts of activities through the year, from street art, carnival art, live music, photography, video, drama, dance, poetry, and much, much more. And we'll tell you a bit more about that later. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90. I'm the artistic director of Together 2012. With me, where she's been locked in since last March, is our chair, the artist Julie Newman. We'll give you a little bit of audio description in a minute, but first we'll go to the other end of our long-wheeled virtual sofa to the West Midlands for some introduction and audio description from our co-hosts. You can tell it's Monday.
Well, good afternoon. Yes, it is indeed Monday. So I am Robin Surgeoner. I'm business together. I'm not. I'm business director at
Catchy.
Together 2012 and co-host of Together Unlocked. I am up here in the West Midlands. You'll see we have a slight change of scenery. It might be a short-lived one. Hoping it's not too busy for anyone who is trying to lip read. Apologies if it is. But had to get to my gas cupboard and found that the staging was all in the way. So it was a safety issue as much as anything. So that aside, I am today sporting lovely whitey grey silver hair, no rimmed black armed glasses. I have a pale complexion, and today I'm wearing a black hoodie with a grey neck inside lining. That's what it's called, and ties, and just on the left breast is a logo for Angry Fish Training, which is one of the other things that I do in my time.
Hi, I'm Josh Surgeoner, and I am also a host. None of us can speak today. Also a host of Together Unlocked, and I am a PhD research student as well. I have long blonde hair that's kind of pushed over to one side, and because it's very recently washed and silky smooth, it also means that it doesn't stay where I put it. So I'm going to have to keep flicking it out of, I'd say my eye, but realistically my mouth. It likes to get in there a lot at the moment because it's far too long because I haven't had a haircut in a year. And then today I am wearing a hooded kind of overshirt that is black across the neck and shoulders, and then has a red body, and it says Miami on it because it is a basketball team t-shirt. And hopefully Julie can speak for the four of us because we can't.
Do you want to just audio describe that busy background while we're at it?
Yes, of course. Well, we have a shelf behind us, which is Emily, our production assistant, I guess. Very very kindly put lots of teddies on to show that we do actually have some real teddies, despite popular opinion. That might just be all of them, mind. So they're all sat on a shelf behind us, but they're at exactly at our head height. So it just looks like they're joining us at the show. And then behind that on the wall is a number of pictures. There's some artwork by Emily. There's a picture of me and Joshua swimming with a dolphin. A picture of me in a skip. It is, you can't see that, but that is me and my fellow band members when I was a student. Dande's dog doing arty band photography, and then a David Bowie picture somewhere there as well.
Well, I think it's all been brilliantly art directed and Instagrammable. It's just a shame you've got two white teddy bear ears coming out from behind your head. But Please don't move. So back to East London. Yeah, we'll start with our backdrop. We have a silver grey curtain covered at the top with part of our Together 2012 graffiti banner, which has got representations in graffiti style of the art. Yeah, all the different art forms I talked about earlier. We also have a teddy bear dressed in a ballet outfit wearing a medal. She is representing London 2012, who won last week's Clockwork Paralympics. That's coming up again this week on Wednesday, so we'll tell you a bit more about that later in the show. Like I say, I'm Jude Gosling. I've got a short, self-styled, self-coloured Corona crop. Least said about that, the better. Thank goodness we're not in 4K. I have a light olive complexion, green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I've got black wrist braces, silver coloured jewellery, and today I'm wearing a long sleeved green t shirt, and over the top of that, a sort of turquoise, blue, and green striped. Well, we've had all these debates, but we think the term, if you were around in the 60s and 70s, we've decided it's a tank top. I don't know if that means anything to Josh or not, but I'm not even going to ask at the moment. Julie, what do you look like?
Hello, I'm Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. Excusez-moi. I have ever-growing, longer, sort of mid to longish now, golden silver hair. What can I say? it just keeps growing. I've got a touch of the Josh hairstyles, only mine doesn't look as tidy as Josh's does. I've got dark rimmed glasses, and today I'm wearing a black t-shirt. Just trying to work out which arm is where. And in white writing, it says from the top down to the bottom. I can't remember.
In my darkest hour, I reached for a hand and found a paw.
And there's a little round diagram in white in the middle of a hand reaching out upside down and a paw going into it from the top.
And the chances are quite high that we're going to be able to replicate that in real life later. All of us have got marauding cats around. Even our real-time captioner Julia from Global Real-Time Captioning, but apparently her cats, which of course don't appear on screen, are the only well-behaved ones. If you'd like to find out more about our animals, if you go to our website www.together2012.org.uk, go to the pull down menu under the Together Unlocked TV page, and you will find a thing called Animal Hosts. And that's got descriptions of all the cats and dogs that contribute. I mean, some of them actually go out and do camera work or just think they contribute to creating the show. So it's Blue Monday. But before we get on to that, it was the Unlimited Festival at the weekend. So feedback and anything else exciting, because on a Friday we do a piece called Something for the Weekend, where we recommend all sorts of things you can do online and offline at home, most of which, but not all, are free. So Robin, you went to the Abnormally Funny People gig at the South Bank, well, digitally at the South Bank last night. How was it? I know it had a lot of our friends performing.
It was okay. I mean, I definitely dressed up to go as well. And it was Emily's birthday yesterday, and I left our birthday Zoom to go to Abnormally Funny. It was a grower, I think, would be my description. They finished the first half with a video song contribution from Matt Fraser and the Spasms, which is very funny, actually. Which I should imagine is available on YouTube anyway, because it was a song they did in 2016. The Spasms being Matt and Nabil Shaban and some others, but I don't know exactly who. So apologies for that. And then it kind of built, and I guess as a show should, to the last two acts. There were the first act after the interval that I saw is it Tanaline? I is can never quite remember how to say her name. She's an American stand-up comedian of short stature, and I've seen her on live at the Apollo and stuff. So she's kind of quite big. Well, no pun intended. And then, but the last two acts, I thought for me were really good. The penultimate act was Don Biswas.
Oh yes, Donna's compared for us before.
Yeah, and he was very funny, very very kind of one-liney stand-up stuff. Just kind of lots of throwaway comments, but politically astute at the same time. Very self-deprecating, as a kind of lot of stand-up is, but it worked. It was funny. I was laughing, and that's kind of what you want from it. And then and the closing act was a comedian called Rosie Jones, who well, Josh has seen her on stand-up shows outside of Abnormally Funny.
Yeah, she's a stand-up comic with CP, and I've seen her on loads of stuff, and she's really funny. But yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen her on the Abnormally Funny stuff because I was on the birthday stuff. But yeah, I've seen her on various different TV shows and panel comedy things.
And I mean, she's written for like 8 out of 10 cats.
Yeah.
And kind of shows that.
I think this is the thing. I think in the last 10 years, if there's one set of artists who've crossed over, it's been the comedians. And maybe that should always be the way. But, well, I mean, they're too numerous to mention, in fact, although I could start listing them. But then with my poor short-term memory, we'd be here all day. But yes, I mean, it's really different. And I think Liz Carr's been one of the people who pioneered it. You know, people see Liz acting and they forget, you know, not only all of the training that she had to fight to get and moving to London and training with Grey Eye, but she really put herself out there. You know, she did the comedy clubs just like the rest of them, and it wouldn't be my idea of fun at all.
No, I mean, and I know it's not Abnormally Funny, but if you ever get the chance to see anything that the Nasty Girls produced,
Yes.
they're absolutely, I mean, riotously funny. So yeah, I don't know now with Liz's kind of, you know, TV career and, you know, doing big stuff, which is brilliant. But whether her and Joe Church are able to be the Nasty Girls as such anymore. I know they've put some stuff out in lockdown.
Yeah, we'll keep chasing that up and we'll let you know all about it. Well, like I said, it's Blue Monday. And Julie, tell us all about Blue Monday.
Excuse me. Blue Monday was the result of a marketing ploy by Sky Travel, who wanted to identify the best day of the year to promote their holidays. So they commissioned a mathematician to set up an algorithm to try and work out which was the day where people were at their lowest and therefore most susceptible to spending a lot of money on a holiday. And they came up with the third Monday in January. Now, the mental health organizations didn't like it very much because they said, well, depression doesn't work like that, which I think any of us actually know. But at the same time, it is an opportunity to say, look, we are in the middle of the third lockdown. Although the sun shone in London briefly this morning, the sky is grey. And of course, I suppose bills catch up with you from Christmas. It's those sort of things in the algorithm.
I mean, I think that's one of the things, isn't it? That for people who get paid in the middle of the month, they got paid on Friday, watch their pay go straight out, followed by the Christmas present debt, and then looked out the window. And I can see if you don't have to put a deposit down in most years, that would be quite an attractive time to book a holiday. I think this year it would just add to the list of complicating factors and financial concerns. But yeah, I mean, I think there is, unsurprisingly though, a huge amount of mental distress. You know, just it doesn't have to be something clinical, does it? I think that's the other thing about Blue Monday. It's not always about mental health per se, but it's just about saying, well, this is a hard time of year at the best of times, and probably the hardest January for us privileged people in the UK, because I know there's an awful lot of people in Newham who've been through wars, famine, and goodness knows what, and are still really suffering now. So I think any of us that have lived quite a privileged life, we sort of forget the level of sort of displacement and fear, don't we?
Absolutely. And if I may just say, the Mental Health Foundation have got a really good website looking at loneliness and looking at being kind and looking at being mindful of each other. And I do recommend that. But it's quite interesting. At one point, they said 1 in 4 people experience loneliness. And then further on in the website, they said, but 3 out of 4 didn't. So that's a sort of glass half full thinking. But that's why I wore this T-shirt, because the bottom line is, although it's sort of like it seems to be a sort of sickly message, but for most of us who actually do have animals around us, they provide us with amusement. They provide us with a reason for getting up in the morning. They provide us, with a reason for getting meals on time, because they certainly wouldn't let you forget, and companionship. And that's why so many animals have been fostered or adopted during this period of pandemic. I think the important thing is to not just value them when we need them, but to value them for all of the year, and to make sure that they're cared for properly.
Yes, I was just thinking back to yesterday and the sort of endless round of feeding and litter trays and water fountains and clearing up, and thinking, yeah, that really kept me happy.
And washing.
Oh yeah, watch 2 dogs. Yeah, it was a sort of endless list, but Julie found it all very amusing. She wasn't doing any of this.
It's true. It's true. And they look so sweet when they're clean, don't they?
And in fact, in a few minutes' time, we've got some photos of that for our app date. But what did you want to say, guys, about Blue Monday? Because I think one of the things that is often the case is that men find it much more difficult. It's not so easy to be allowed to be miserable, is it?
Oh, I don't know. He's practiced loads.
No, I think no. Yes, there is a certain stigma around kind of men's mental health, and I know lots of people and organisations are trying to fight that. The Princes, both of them are doing a lot of stuff. Lots of sports people are doing it. But I think one of the things I want to say around kind of the loneliness stuff is actually, through all of the negative kind of press and the bad side of the internet, that actually it can be a great place. You can probably go on YouTube and find somebody tidying their kitchen and talking about their day, if that's what you want, just so there's another voice in the house. Or if you are wanting to kind of talk, you can pretty much find somebody on the internet will like the same, whether it's film, sport, something mainstream, or a BBC show that had 4 episodes in 1998. You can probably still find somebody on the internet that's their favorite show ever made and would love to talk about it. So if it's your, I think, if you do have access to the internet and you are feeling a bit down, just you will probably be able to find somebody that likes the same thing as you and will be delighted to talk to you about it. And don't be worried. You don't have to use your real name. You can have a completely fake name, completely fake everything, but don't be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody, because you will be able to find somebody that likes the same thing as you. It's pretty much guaranteed.
And I should say, if the thought of reaching out to strangers makes you shudder, we have a very comprehensive join in from home program. So go to our website. The address is at the bottom of the screen, www.together2012.org.uk. So there's various ways that you can join in. You can join in activities from home, and that's all under our join in from home section. You can watch films, performances, all sorts of things, particularly from our Making History Together 2020 festival. That concluded in the middle of December, but we have the whole festival still up for you to enjoy with exhibitions, performances. Obviously, you can't join in, but you can still watch the films of the talks and see the questions that other people asked. And there's a whole range of making activities, things to sort of make as well. Then we have our clubs program, for which I have to say thank you very much, the National Lottery Community Fund. Our clubs, which are aimed at disabled people, however you define yourself, and are absolutely free, like everything else we do, are currently running on Zoom and on telephone. All of the details are up there under the 2021 program link, which is right at the well, all of these things are very easy to find on our website. But for the clubs, go to the 2021 program. To join in from home, go to join in from home. For festivals, check out the archive section as well, because we've got some fantastic things to watch and to do from previous festivals and Summer Together programs as well. But now we're going to come on to Appdate, which is our regular weekly spot. We started off this by talking about the NHS COVID-19 app, which we were helping to pilot. Oh, it seems like a long time ago now, back in August, September, but we've kept it going with a bit of a break for the festival so we can carry on talking about art apps. And Julie, do you want to introduce this app first while I put some of the things on the screen? Because you've talked about it before, haven't you? So if you tell us the name and what it does again.
Hi, yes. Excuse me. The app which I've wanted to highlight today again, although I've done it last year, I think it's useful to do it this year, is Waterlog. And it's basically, it's an app which filters photographs and turns them into something very similar to watercolor. There's about 11, 12 filters, and you can choose the ones that you like the best, and then you can save them. So on screen at the moment is Precious wearing her sweatshirt after having had her bath yesterday. I think looking actually very illustrative. She looks like something out of a children's story.
And this is after it's been waterlogged. So we put the photograph up first, just for a bit of audio description. So Precious is a black hairy dog, and she was wearing a pink hoodie, dog's hoodie it has to be said, with a sort of security armband. And she's sort of sitting up looking across the room. If anybody's seeing this sideways, that's just one of those strange things Google do, but I'm hoping not. So I'm just going to take that one off and then put the next one up.
Now this is Jazz, who's Precious's brother. He's a black dog. He looks very, excuse me, he looks more poodleish than Precious does because they're Poodle Westie crosses. He's currently wearing a lime green sweatshirt top with love on the back. But
it's quite a close-up, isn't it? So you can't see much of it. It's mostly dark, hairy face and bright green top.
Yeah, it is. It's cropped up quite close.
So let's see if it will let me put the other one up. And I think the answer is not yet. There we go.
And here is Jazz. It's been filtered so that the background disappears. It accentuates his face actually much better than it did Precious's. Probably because it's close up, and his eye shines quite nicely. He's got a little meerkat face, I think, looking at it. And it is very, very sort of classically sort of watercolored, which I think looks quite sweet. It's interesting. I like it because you can play with your photographs. It's something else to do. Plus, you can use them to illustrate things. I use the Waterlog app to illustrate some of my poems on my website.
Yes, I mean, I think that what it really illustrates is you can take a photo that's not necessarily a great photo, and I say that with the greatest of respect because I was there when I photographed the dogs because they're tearing around. But also because they're black dogs, they're very hard to photograph. You know, we're sitting here with sort of various studio lights pointing at us, but of course, in your normal sitting room, it's much murkier, particularly in this cottage because it's got really high ceilings, so the light sort of disappears on the floor. But as soon as you put that filter on, it looks completely different. And like you say, it's almost looks like a watercolor painting. I mean, I think what I find with these apps is it depends where you use them. If I'm going to print something out, I like to keep it much more photographic, because I think if you pretend it's a watercolor and then you print it out like a poster, it's very obvious that it's not a watercolor. Does that make sense? But if you're
Yes.
using it on screen, then it might just as well be a watercolor.
It's very stylized, and so therefore it's clearly not an actual watercolor, but it's a treatment of a photograph. And you know,
Do
I
you
think
have much control over what you can do in the translation between the photo and the output?
a lot of it is experience. What I've done before is I've taken one of the filters, I've saved it, and then I've done something else to it, and then brought it back into Waterlog. So it's about sort of, you know, you can edit it in any of the sort of standard editing apps. It doesn't have to be sort of
I think
Photoshop.
one of the things Robin was wondering was, can you know, with the Waterlog, which is a free app, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you do things like adjust the size of the lines or adjust the
No.
the sensitivity?
Not as a free app, you can't. But
it doesn't seem to matter.
I don't think it does, but because you can always change it in another photographic app as well. You know, you don't have to just stick to the one app. I have found it quite interesting to play around with it in not even Photoshop, but just the standard iPad app, you know, for editing.
Yes, I mean, I think it's one of the things you can do quite easily with some of these sort of fun free apps. Is like you say, you kind of do something, you know, take a photograph, manipulate it, output it, take that manipulated photograph into another app or back into, because you do it also where you take it back into Waterlog,
Yes,
don't
I
you?
do.
And then put it on again. Although I'm not convinced it works brilliantly well, but I think it's really interesting to experiment with it.
It is, and also what I found was I went to the Isle of Dogs a few years ago and just took some snaps, and then I played with them, and I've got one snap which was taken in June, I think, of the Isle of Dogs looking across to Woolwich, and it looks like it's snow. It looks like the effect is one of snow. I actually printed it out on canvas because I really liked it, and I entered it in one of the open shows. But it gives very interesting effects that perhaps you wouldn't have anticipated.
Yeah, well, I also think in terms of this sort of not being able to get out into nature, maybe kind of that's what we need. Oh, let's put this app in and then pretend we're outside. Did you have any apps you've been working with in the last week, guys?
You want to go first?
I can talk about it's a website and an app called italki, which is because I think it's described as like a language exchange almost. So you kind of go on it, put what language you want to learn and kind of why, and then it connects you with kind of teachers or just people that speak that language and are wanting to kind of teach it. So I've done a couple of lessons, and it's kind of really easy to navigate. It's really easy to find your teacher. They all have kind of introductory videos so you can kind of gauge if you kind of like the person. But then, at least for the person that I've been taking the lessons with, it's because it's done over video call. So the app itself has a video call function, or you can use Skype. It's kind of your choice of which one. But because it's not a kind of structured course, you don't have to buy into a set amount of things. You can kind of go, okay, well, I want to learn the basics, or I want to learn it for business or for whatever. And because it's kind of just talking with a person, it's really kind of yeah, it's interactive, but really easy to kind of tailor to what you kind of want and what you need. And yeah, it's just been quite good.
And such an interesting thing to do. Again, the sort of Blue Monday, sometimes just taking your brain literally into another culture, because it isn't just about another language, isn't it? It's only when you speak other languages, and I speak very well, just a bit of French, really, but that sense of everything is a concept, so often, you don't have the same word because people see the world differently, and maybe that's what we all need to do a bit. Before we move on, did you have any apps to talk about, Robin?
Yeah, I've got one, and in fact, I saw it because Emily's school had asked her to use it. But in we do all our stuff around filmmaking and talk a lot about being able to create soundtracks and stuff. And there is an app called Soundtrap, uh, and like a lot of apps, you can pay an amount for it. You can, different levels of subscription, but there is an entry level which is free, which is, to be honest, actually pretty comprehensive in itself. I mean, I don't know if like you need to start exporting stuff or putting it into different programs. At that point, you'd run into trouble. You'd need subscription. But actually, it's got a phenomenal set of instruments in it, and loops and pre-recorded sounds. About 30 different drummers, or drum kits, as it were. I mean, you had a quick look as well, didn't you? I mean, it's very it's blocks. You have, it has like a series of blocks to represent the beats in a bar, and then you literally put in, certainly for drums, you put in a kick drum or a snare drum or a hi-hat where you want it. Now, you might not know where you want it, and you might find out you haven't got it where you think it is, but then you literally pick it up with your mouse and move it to wherever.
Yeah, I think you can do it like that. You can also play it through the keyboard kind of on your computer, and it'll give you a little display. But then you can also use kind of MIDI instruments and things if you have them. So you could plug in an external instrument and record into it. But again, like you said, it's kind of online and completely free.
Great. So we'll put a link into that in our highlights and links page, and you'll find everything we talk about and the videos we show on the highlights and links page. Again, just like the Animal Hosts, it's on a pull down menu below the main Together Unlocked TV page. Now we're going to move on. We're going to show you the same film we showed you last week, in fact, but with audio description. But just because it's such an important film, it's our Charlie and the Sea Monsters film, drawn by Hannah Ensor. We also, the main purpose of this project was to create a 16-page comic stroke colouring book that explained COVID without words. We're still really keen to get that out to everybody who struggles with literacy or simply went to private school, because we know from the government response that they didn't learn science properly. But this will explain in words, without words, in images that we hope even the government can understand, how COVID is spread. But like I say, beautifully drawn by Hannah Ensor. In a city not far away, Charlie and the other residents were going about their business. Unaware that getting closer and closer, there was a strange monster. With a kiss, little monsters leapt off the big monster and started climbing into Charlie's mouth. Charlie carried on his way, talking into his phone. Unseen, little monsters come out of Charlie's mouth as he's speaking and fly into the face of the woman walking past. Charlie spits as he carries on. Little monsters play in the spit and jump onto a passing wheel. A wheelchair user pushes on unaware. Little monsters climb onto her hands from the wheels. Meanwhile, Charlie goes into the store. Little monsters are left on the handle of the door where he's pushed it open. Next, a little girl comes into the store. Her hands touch the same handle and the monsters jump onto her arm. As she touches her face, one climbs onto her nose. Charlie is in the store picking up tins from the shelf to have a closer look. When he puts them back, they're covered with little monsters. Charlie chats in the queue as he waits to pay, and little monsters fly out with every word. Outside, the little girl is playing ball with a friend. Little monsters climb from her hands onto the ball and climb onto the hands of the friend she's playing with. Meanwhile, Charlie gets onto the bus. He leaves little monsters behind where he touches the rail. The monsters climb onto the hands of the next person to get onto the bus. Back home, Charlie chats to a neighbour who's putting out her bin. And then has a chat with his next door neighbour. Back at home, the lady on the bus is washing her hands. And so is the child who was playing ball. And so is the wheelchair user, who's also scrubbing the wheels. In the soap bubbles, the monsters die. But other people Charlie met are now ill.
Oh. 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 Oh.
And Charlie himself is very ill. And while a neighbour's still fine, she has lots of little monsters coming out of her whenever she speaks. And there are still monsters on the shop handle. And on the shop tins. And on the rail in the bus. But one of Charlie's friends is safe at home listening to the radio. And puts a mask on when they go out. And keeps as far away away from other pedestrians as they can. And washes their hands when they get home, which kills the monsters. Story and sound, due 90. Artwork, Stickman Communications Limited. Together 2012. Creative Commons 2020. So, back to the films, having just seen a film. Today and for the next couple of days, the London Short Film Festival continues. We flagged this up in something for the weekend on Friday. But today is their annual, well, one of the things happening today is their annual deaf film event, which is called My Eye is My Ear. It's become an annual event because it's just been so successful. So it's a group of films brought together, made in the last few years, mostly in 2020, written and starring deaf actors. It's been programmed by Rinku Barpaga, and I'm just going to play you, first of all, a short trailer that they made for BSL Zone. So I'm going to voice this one over. Hello. London Short Film Festival will be online from 15th to 24th of January. This annual event regularly presents screenings of short films covering deaf identity, culture and language. The 2021 screening is called My Eye is My Ear and will be introduced by Rinku Barpaga. Great news, one of our films, Here, Not Here, will be in My Eye is My Ear at 6 p.m. on Monday, the 18th of January. Click on the link to find out more, or book your tickets for the event, which cost £5 and include 5 short films on the website. And like I say, we'll put that link up on the highlights and links page. So get my trusty iPad out to tell you more. As they said, the first film that's being shown is Here, Not Here, which was also, I think, part of the Unlimited Festival. We talked quite a lot about that last week. So this is a great opportunity to see it if you missed it, together with Sign Night by Kathy Major. Now, some people may remember Kathy indeed as a South Bank producer herself back in the noughties. That's a poetic conversation in sign language between two star-crossed lovers separated by lockdown. Their dreams for the future are projected onto buildings across the night sky. Then there's a 2016 film, Dawn of the Deaf by Rob Savage. When a strange sound wipes out the hearing population, a small group of deaf people must band together to survive. So we know why they've chosen that one again. There's also Hideaway by Samuel Ash, where a deaf student goes to university and develops close relationships with Dean Lear and learns to overcome social anxiety. So a positive film about university. Not many of those around at the moment. And finally, Stephen Eigenman's Among Us from the USA, where Anna, a young pianist, needs to fight for her passion and future as a musician when she begins to go deaf. So these are interpreted and captioned, and like I say, it starts at 6 o'clock with a live introduction, as I understand it, by Rinku Barpaga. So it looks great. I've been through the rest of the programme. Like I say, it runs till the 24th. I think there's something really nice about curated short film programmes. I mean, I would say that as the programmer of our festival, which has a lot of short films, but these are very much kind of themed, very carefully selected. Usually you can watch them not just at the point they're being streamed live, but usually for 48 hours. And they do have a studio pass, a film festival pass. Still getting our words wrong today. So it's possible to get a pass and just keep popping into things in the way that you would if you had money and time and were pottering around in central London. For once, we can access this without even leaving our homes. So how good is that? Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing on it, Judy?
No, I always like the deaf films. In our own film festival, that I find them really accessible.
Yes, and I think it isn't just the captioning and so on. And I know Here Not Here, you were really looking forward to seeing Robin, and I think missed last week at the Unlimited Festival. So I don't know if you've got a chance to see it tonight.
I'm going to try. I mean, I did actually manage to watch the first 10 minutes, and then the link died. It seems to be my experience with it. I will say though that Rinku Bhapaga is a very, very funny comedian. I don't know if you know him.
I don't think I do.
Yeah, he's well, originally, I don't know where he lives now, but he was in the Midlands, and I worked with him right at the beginning of him learning that he actually was funny. And he worked with, I think, Deaf Explorers out of Birmingham Bid. And because I'm sure it was him. He'd got like they had this masterclass series or maestro series, and he got to go to New York to work with a stand-up comedian and to find out if his deaf English comedy translated into America. It was really very good. So I mean, you know, I know that's an aside, but he will deliver a good comparing, if you ask me. So he's almost, you know, if you don't like the films in the end, the bits in between will still be very entertaining.
But I think by the sound of it, you know, he's personally selected these. So I think, I mean, I think we know more of the filmmakers than we don't know. But I think having put them together in a particular way, I think it is going to work really well. They're all just really great films. I'm very excited, if I could finish this in time, to be able to see Kathy Major's work, because I think it's the first of her film pieces that I will have seen. She did so much theatre, and of course she's produced so much. I mean, that was the irony. Before Unlimited, we used to get, as disabled artists, programmed at all of the South Bank community festivals, because it was absolutely standard. So to go back to this kind of once every 2 years in Unlimited actually does seem a little bit limited, South Bank Centre, if you don't mind my saying, or even if you do. So we're going to come towards the end of our show soon. On a Monday, we have a special item, which is Relax with Arwa. Arwa is one of our ACT UP Newham company members. ACT UP Newham is our associate drama company. They're a community drama company and training company based in Newham. Arwa has trained, well, with all sorts of people, including Grey Eye Theatre Company, but alongside her passion for acting and writing, she is also passionate about yoga, and last year set up her own live stream. That goes out on a Saturday. We just pick up the kind of nice, relaxing meditation bit to play at the end. So coming up later in the week, Wednesday, we have a number of regular items, but the one that matters to our Paralympians, including Mr. Surgeon at MBE most, is our Clockwork Paralympics, because they are desperate for the right of their Teddy to wear a medal. And I think you forgot to really rub it in this time, Julie, but I'll just give you Anna Bear to point out that last week in this game of chance, there's no skill involved at all. We just choose a competitor. Anna is wearing her medal. So we've got the Clockwork Paralympics. We've also got Josh's report on sport and gaming, and indeed all of the different creative careers that are linked to gaming as well. We've got Virtual Nature Watch with Merlot, the assistance dog, where he takes us out on his walk, because we don't get to do that at the moment. So we see the world through Merlot's eyes instead. And last but by no means least, we've got poems from the Pop-Up Poetry Club. If you'd like to join in from home, this week's theme is my favourite colour or my favourite colours. just pop them on the email to us, info@together2012.org.uk. We'd love to hear your poems, or indeed, we would love to play videos of you reading your poems out. So that's goodbye from East London. I'm going to be handing you over to Relax with Arwa in a minute, but first over to the West Midland for some final words.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say I do your best to watch some of the Deaf Film Festival stuff because it will be great. Poetry, as a lot of you know, tis my fashion, my one of my pets. You know, as a songwriter, poetry is absolutely the base product of songwriting, as far as I'm concerned. Kind of even above story writing. So we do want some more contributions. Don't think, oh, if I didn't do the poetry group, I can't send them in. You know, if that's what you feel, join the poetry group. There is more space for people to join the poetry group, but just write something. Blue is the color. There you go. It's great. So on that colourful note, I'll say bye and pass over to Josh.
Yeah, just kind of echo what everybody has said. Do send stuff in if you have it, not just for Wednesday, but for any of the kind of themed days. Film on Monday and photography and art on film and photography on a Monday and art on a Friday. And then looking forward to Wednesday. As Drew said, we do have the Clockwork Paralympics. Hoping to regain a medal. I don't think we've won since about July, so be nice to get one of those back in. And then we're going to be talking about some gaming, and then I think I've got an idea brewing for Wednesday for sport. We're going to do some sports films, some sports documentaries, because there's not a lot of actual sport going on to talk about. So we might make some recommendations. And I believe it's just about time to relax with Ira. I can choose there ready to click when it ticks over. So we'll see you all on Wednesday.
Okay. We are going to start with a deeper into your life and add to your life. And now I do want you to imagine that you are in your favorite place. It can be anywhere that you want. And I want you to imagine that it's the first day out of lockdown and you are feeling nervous because you haven't seen people in real life and you are very nervous. You are feeling good. You are feeling calm. You are feeling excited to see people. Now I want you to imagine that you are in your front of an ocean. It's just you alone, and the water is yellow water. Yellow water. And you got all your worries in one hand, and you are going to throw them into the water. you after you throw them, you decide to go for a swim in the yellow water. And the water feels really good on your skin. And you can see fishes in the water. Ahead of you, you can see an island. So you go to the island. You come out of the water. You're on this really weird island. Because you are the only one that is on the island. So you walk around. You walk around for a long time. So on your wall, you see a flower. A row of flowers. But there's one flower that is special. You know why this flower is special? Because it lights all over the flower. And it's already know your name. It's calling you over. So you go over to see that flower. And the flower say, I am with you all the time. I am with you all the time. So you pick up the flower. So you throw it in your hand. You go for another walk. With that flower in your hand, you go for another walk. And you are feeling calm, relaxed. You don't know nothing on your mind. It's just you and the sugar. You are feeling nice and calm. So on your wall, you see another flower. This flower knows you. It's like a tall sunflower. It is a sunflower. And it already knows your name. Oh my God, you got two flowers already know your name. And you know what? This world that you're in right now, you can go to it whenever you want. It does it in your head. And nobody knows that this world that you. Now, I know that the lockdown hasn't been nice to some people, but I just want you to feel like you're not alone in this lockdown. You got the true power in your head. You got your own world in your head. Now, deep in, give out. Now, at the end of the meditation, so you can come out of that world. Just if I just want to give you some time in that world, and hopefully you would be relaxed and ready to face whatever you are doing. Thank you for listening to Relax with Our. Hopefully you enjoy it. And I look forward to see you next week.